Hey guys, this is Eckhart Slaughter. Hello and welcome to another video. And today we're going to talk about something interesting that came out in yesterday's behind the scenes video for The Mandalorian. Or really, it released this morning, I think. Either way, it details an interesting way that Plo Koon acted as a stand-in for Luke Skywalker. So we've got that, but I'm also going to cover briefly two other pieces of news at the end of this video. So if you want to skip around, you can use the timestamps down below. Alright, so the behind the scenes Disney Gallery episode for The Mandalorian Season 2 finale dropped early this morning. Now note, this was just the finale only. The gallery episode for the rest of the season dropped previously, but there was more than enough to, I think, dedicate one entire episode to the finale. And first of all, I just want to say, I really encourage you guys to watch this. A lot of the episode was about just how much bringing Luke Skywalker into The Mandalorian meant to the people on set, especially Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau. You can tell just how much they cared about the character, how they directly worked with Mark Hamill, and the entire processes that they went through to acknowledge that in the video. But the amount of technology that they used to create what they did have is really impressive. And they also talk about how there were other options with different deep faking technologies, a full CG face like Tarkin had in Rogue One. But interestingly, there was also some acknowledgement of how dangerous the deep faking technology was. So that part of the episode was really interesting. Jon Favreau generally, and all of ILM that he worked with, definitely also have their fingers on the pulse of this cutting, or even what they'll do in the coming years with just a whole bunch of non-traditional theater-style releases coming out. One thing in particular that I also thought was interesting is that Luke Skywalker's voice was completely made by AI. There was no human actor behind it. It was generated based on AI learning technology. I mean, we all knew that was possible, but I've never actually heard that used in a full dramatic context like this. There was also a lot of focus on what the show did thematically to really drive home the moment of Luke reappearing, or appearing for the first time really since Return of the Jedi. First of all, one thing that I actually didn't really notice is that Luke's appearance is the first time original trilogy music, in particular Binary Sunset, has been used in The Mandalorian. But also, he was really the capping off of a 2-season arc, which is one thing that the crew kind of hammered a few times, which does make me wonder, where is The Mandalorian Season 3 going? Is it going to involve Grogu? Will it start a new arc with Grogu? Some people have taken that line to mean that Grogu's story is over, and I think that's a complete misunderstanding of what arc means. Characters can easily be involved in multiple story arcs. Who is quite heavily involved in the Star Wars leaks community. As I've discussed on the channel before, Star Wars projects in the past have leaked to various degrees. When it came to something like The Rise of Skywalker, pretty much that film's entire script was online like 6 months before the release date. The Mandalorian Season 1 was largely a pretty tight ship without many leaks. Season 2, we had the Rosario Dawson casting leak. Other films like The Last Jedi were pretty clear, but of course, the one thing that could not get out for Season 2 was the big reveal. And the way people were talking about it, the Luke appearance was not seemed to have been building towards. So they did a lot to make sure that Luke's reappearance would be kept secret in sculpting the sort of digital de-aged face through the egg, which was pretty cool. You'll have to watch that for more details. It's very complex but interesting. But aside from him, especially early on, it seemed like there were 4 or 5 people who really knew what was going on. Project, like when they knew that a Jedi would come, Plo Koon was used as the stand-in, and it went so far as we can actually see some art of, again, a very obvious Plo Koon, albeit with some Luke Skywalker looking outfit. And then the dailies, as they were filming and editing, would have a digital version of Plo Koon's face over Luke. Now, I imagine by that point, it's sort of a bit more of a gag than anything else, although they played up pretty seriously in the movie. I mean, those aren't Plo Koon's hands. It was clearly Luke's outfit, but still very interesting how they're so aware of what's going on. And even Dave Filoni pointed out the fact that it got out. Regarding Plo Koon though, could he have actually appeared? I mean, we do see him shot down, but that's like the most ambiguous death in Star Wars. You can easily come back from that. My main problem with the character is that the vast majority of Star Wars fans have almost no connection to him. Yeah, some people who watch the Clone Wars might like Plo Koon. He is a very, very cool Jedi. I like him as a character, but compared to Luke Skywalker, he's a nobody in the Star Wars universe. There were a couple other things I wanted to point out though, and the first is that some of the concept art actually had Luke with his episode 4 and 5 lightsaber, which does make sense. He could have recovered it at some point. We don't know how it arrived at Takodana quite yet. Another senior, he compared their fighting styles, and I really have to wonder whether at some point they are going to meet. But yeah, that's all I have to talk about for this. Again, I highly recommend you check out the episode. It was great. It's the Skywalker Saga. This was originally supposed to launch, I believe, in fall of 2020. It was later pushed off to 2021. Without any news, people were a bit worried, and we got out next year. Charlie did a full breakdown for my second channel, X2. I'm going to link to that because I don't want to spend too much time on that because I know a lot of you have already checked out that video. And the last bit of news is related to Halo Infinite. First of all, we did get a release date, early December, where they didn't. Now, I sort of covered my thoughts on all of this yesterday, so you can check out Covenant Invasion of Earth in 2552 during the events of Halo 3, most likely. We have some anachronistic technology, i.e. the technology the Spartans are using, and even in some cases the Covenant are using, is from after that time period, but that's very common in the 343 era Halo, with, for example, the Halo 4 prologue showing Spartans using. One final story I'm tracking about more Star Wars classic games getting re-released on the Switch and perhaps other systems, but that'll be something we cover on X2. Till next time though, guys, have a good one, be safe, and may the Force be with you.